All right, we're back, boys, for a new podcast. This one,
I'm in the pod now. Thanks for having me.
special. Buy, hold, and sell for this week, round 2, boys. We'll get us started with Tallis Duncan. What are your thoughts, Mick?
Yeah, I think he's definitely a buy. He's only ever played on the interchange before, but when he was playing, 30 minutes, he was scoring brilliantly. So if he gets 60 minutes plus starting at second row, I'd definitely get him in.
Break even of 30, 413k Cord. You going to wait a week? Or
Yeah, I think I'm going to wait a week, or just purely because that price range, 413k, we don't really know the extent of Joe Harris' injury just quite yet. He's a good player, I've heard, so I think if it's not going to hurt to wait a week and just see what he's got.
Yeah. Moving on to the next one. Tyrrell May, boys, 62 points, 54 minutes. Break even of 18 this week. Wow, he was absolutely phenomenal. 28 tackles, 166 run meters, 3 offloads.
Yeah, he was.
Yep.
I don't think Johnny WH coming back into the side is going to hurt him too much. I know Robbo thinks really highly of him, so any minutes that he gets is probably going to be the same as the first week, if not more. So definitely a buy there. I know, Mick, you were thinking about going to Tola, or those that have Tola to May.
Yeah,
Straight to him.
I think May might be the buy of the week. There's a lot of people having Linu to Tola. I'd look to try and straight swap if you can.
All right, boys, on to the next one. The Tigers captain and hooker, Appy Coruscant, 608k, break even of 44. Got the goal kicking as well now with Caesar on the bench as well, potential to play 80 minutes as well.
Yeah, I'm getting him in just for that potential with 80 minutes. We've seen what he can do in the past playing 80 minutes, 52 last year when he played the whole game. Look, I've also got Grant, which I know a lot of people will have, round 4 buy. So you got the cover there. Yeah, I'd definitely get him in as well.
Yeah, he's looking a must-have door. Absolutely. Like you said, he's won that goal kicking, and I know goal kicking isn't much of a factor in fantasy, but
Always helps.
It always helps, yeah. And Mick said 52 average last year playing 80 minutes. He looks set playing 80 minutes. The buy with Grant also helps that coverage. It's either him or Turbo, which we'll touch on next, I think, who I'm getting in, because Turbo still quite a nice price.
Yeah, he is the next man, Cord. Tommy Turbo got 54 points in round 1 in Vegas. Break even of 43, and only 662k. I personally have him in my team and am very high on big Tommy Turbo.
Yeah, you mentioned he passed the eye test, which he looked impressive. One thing this year, you got to have a gun wing fullback.
Yeah.
They've scored so well in the first round. There's a lack of, I'd say, good cheap wing fullbacks. So if you got those guns there with Pappenhausen, I know everyone has him. You'll be in good stead.
Yep. On to the next one. Cord's man, Tohu Harris. If you missed last week's pod, we spoke about Tohu. Exceptional performance, 80 minutes, 66 points, 37 tackles, 2 turnovers, 237 run meters, only a penalty conceded as the negative. Break even of 45 for this week, Cord.
Yeah, well, those that listen, it does pay a listen, that's for sure.
This is why we have the blue tick.
This is why we have the blue tick.
We did pay for the blue tick, but predictions like that, we earned it.
Look, there is a little bit of an issue with Tohu still yet to be determined. Like, there's a few people to come back for the Wars that we got to take note of, but you really can't complain about his round 1 performance. And if it's anything to go by with the bench that they continue to pick, they could just stay with the same 17. So if Tohu plays 80 minutes consistently, absolute must-have. He could be the best scoring forward in the game.
Slight concern, he does seem to break down as the season goes on, like with injuries, but
you can't really
predict injuries. So if he gets 80 minutes,
if you like what you're seeing, don't think about like the injury.
It's more just
history.
the minutes. It's just the minutes. Can they give him 80 minutes every week?
Last one, boys, of the bye. This one's a bit questionable. Just throwing him in there for a bit of a discussion. Alex Seyfarth, boys, starting at lock for the Tigers this week, 359k. Break even of 26. Mick, can you touch on a bit of Seyfarth's history, maybe at lock and potentially at second row for the Tigers?
Yeah, when he gets picked at second row, he scores very well. Small sample size at lock, scores in the 20s. I'm just worried about, will he get 40 minutes plus? His first thing, and I think it's one where you can wait a week to get Seyfarth.
Yeah, my also concern is with Bateman there as well. They could potentially do what they did last season and move Bateman into the lock position and move someone into the second row. But going from that bench, it looks like they've gone basically all props. Alex Twal could play lock, and that's something to maybe note because he can play big minutes as well, Alex Twal at lock. So that's probably the only concern to Seyfarth is Alex Twal.
I'd be more confident in Tallis Duncan.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for like someone around that price range, high 300s to 400, then I'd rather Tallis.
Yep.
All right, boys, let's keep moving on, holds. We can touch on these two together, I think, boys. The Sydney Roosters duo of Sua Wong and Satili Tupanua. Sua Wong, 44 points in 52 minutes. Break even of 25 this week. Look, quickly on Wong, I personally think that he is definitely the one out of these two that is definitely a hold. Low break even of 25 this week. Obviously went off with a minor injury, obviously, because he's been named this week. And I think that he could get a score, if he gets those minutes that he would have without that injury, would have been in the 50s, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. He would have got 55 plus if he didn't break down. We don't really know what even happened, to be honest.
No, very vague on the injury, that one.
Wong, he was on 30 points after like 25 minutes, and then he got taken off, came back, like 5 minutes down the second half, ended up getting 44, so there was really no complaints.
Liked his work rate. I liked his involvement and everything as well.
Yeah, I was just about to say Wong's work rate's definitely more impressive than Toop. Toop, I think he relies too much on those damaging runs and early ball, but I think both are definitely still holds.
Yeah, so Tupanua's the other one, 412K, break even of 36, 22 points last week. Look, he's probably the one closer to a sell than Wong, but I'd definitely be holding for this week. He's been named to play, so...
Yeah.
You happy with that, boys?
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
Yep, perfect. All right, on to the next one. Blue helmets to blame for this. Sorry, Jackson Hastings, but you just need to give him more
Don't say
ball.
sorry, Dor. Don't say sorry.
Ponga, boys, 736K now after losing 21K, 35 points on the weekend, break even of 68. Match up this week against his old club, the Cows.
Just hold.
Hold?
He's,
Yeah.
he's going to be a
absolutely.
gun. Simple as that. I know he's going to lose a bit of money if he doesn't perform this week, but
He's
You
Dally M
didn't
winner.
buy. You did, yeah. Daily M winner.
it's
You
like,
didn't buy.
it's just going to
him.
be sideways no matter what you do. And even if you downgrade, it's just going to bite you in the ass if he absolutely eats.
And you just look at it as well, Mick. Like, look at some of the gun scores this week. Like, it was a pretty, as we've touched on, a very rough week for fantasy as a whole. So, I think you take that into the
Literally
into
every
consideration
gun
as well.
that didn't perform, just hold.
Yeah. Okay. Next one, boys. Pappenhausen.
Also a hold.
Yeah, 20 points, 478K, break even of 46 this week. Obviously, a tough match against Penrith last week. I see him bouncing back this week, boys, with a real strong performance against the Wasps.
Yeah, he'll bounce back. Look, it was his first game back from injury. It's against Penrith. There was no points scored.
Yeah, only eight points, the Storms.
He was trying
one
his
thing I want
best.
to vent about real quick. I know it's humid, but every single game, I swear the field was so dewy.
Yeah, it was
Adam
Adam Dewey.
Dewey, yeah, a lot of slipping
Who
over.
slipped over all the time? It was Taylor May. Taylor May was always slipping over.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
slipping.
but at least he was slipping.
That was
to-
where he's getting his tackle base. He's just slipping.
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, he was slipping to a good score chord, Taylor
Yeah,
May was.
very
There was
fair.
a lot of others slipping to bad scores. Anyway, on to the next one. Ruben Cotter, boys. 41 points, 51 minutes. Definitely, I think Peyton touched on the in the post-game press conference that a few of their star players he kept off because of the scoreline. There was no need to risk them.
Yeah.
I think Cotter will definitely be a 60-minute plus player. Just only played 51 minutes on the weekend, but still got a respectable score in 41, a break even of 43 this week.
I wouldn't be too worried about him. Yeah, as you said, absolutely smacked Cordless's Dolphins. Like, with Cotter, you're expecting him to get high tackles, which he couldn't really do in that sort of game, could he?
No, he
just
still
dominated.
did well in the
I think he
tackling
did
department.
fine, like
33 points, 33 tackles. Sorry, 120 run meters. So you can't be too upset with that. Anyway, the last one, Mick. This is where you take the mic.
Jacob
and
Little?
vent. No, Cameron
Flanagan?
McInnes as a whole.
All right, let me vent.
42 minutes. Let me just go through the stats. Sorry, 42 minutes. 40 mins, 41 tackles, 65 run meters. Break even of 57 this week, 695K.
Do I cut you off? Fitzgibbon, you're giving your captain 40 minutes. When he plays 60 minutes plus, he's an absolute machine.
Well, he's scoring 60-plus points as well going
Exactly.
from that.
And I refuse to say it was a silly decision to get Cam McInnes. Like, if I expected him to play 40 minutes, I would have laughed in your face.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. You've
And
said
I
it well.
refuse to sell him, quite frankly. Him and Adam Elliott.
That's very fair. All right, boys. I think that's the holds. On to the sells. Lastly, boys.
Cylinders.
Jai Arrow, obviously out from potentially either 3 to 4 weeks to 4 months, depending on what the specialist says. Obviously, we've been talking highly of Tallis Duncan. Are you guys happy with Arrow being a sell?
Yeah, I am, Dor. Look, we would there's more upsides selling Arrow than there is buying Duncan, if that makes sense. Like, you'd rather wait a week for Duncan to see if Arrow's injured than not
if Arrow's
sell
out for the
Arrow
4 months.
and not get
Yeah.
Taylor May or...
Look, if you had Arrow to begin with, then you're risking it. It's an interesting option to have Arrow at the start.
Yeah, 7.8% of teams Arrow was. Break even of 44 after his 34 last week, but obviously I think it all really depends on the injury. If you've got him and you don't really need to play him, but to be honest, at the state of fantasy at the moment, you sort of need someone at 551 to be playing, or otherwise you're playing your real cheapies that you don't really
What
have
an
much
awful
trust
week it
in.
was, by the way.
Yeah,
Oh,
awful.
it was truly awful. But yeah, look, I'd wait a week if you have Arrow, but I wouldn't be against you selling straight away.
Yep.
Look, boys, we're not going to go too much into the reason why this player is obviously a sell, but 8-week suspension for Spencer Linu means he is a sell. I think without further, going into it anymore, he's 393K, lost 2K, 26 points last week, break even of 30. I think you move straight to Tyrrell May if you can, but you might have to free up some funds somewhere because Linu is 393K and I'm pretty sure May is 523.
Yeah.
Well, if you have testing you like me, you can go straight to Coruscant as well.
So if you don't have the funds for that, potentially just go to take a punt on Tallis Duncan. I think is the best option.
One of the strangest pods ever. Tessie knew.
Hear me out.
Quite and frankly.
His average is like 40K more than what he averages. So like,
look, I like your logic, but he's just got dropped. So
yeah, fair enough.
All right, boys. Next one. He was a great player for us last year. Connolly Lemuelu, 544K, only got 14 points and a break even of 59 for this week. Obviously, he's out for the next 4 weeks, injured. Definitely a sell for me.
Yeah, poor Connolly and poor Dolphins. Really, like, we knew them coming into the competition, their depth was going to be tested, and it's being tested right now. That's for sure. Connolly, he's definitely a sell for those that bizarrely started with him. Like, how many percent of he's in 0.4%. So if you're a part of that 0.4, he's a sell. Look,
just quickly, can I mention Tully Flegler?
Yeah.
He 56 points. I think you were waiting to see if he was going to step up with Gilbert injured. He's another one that could be a middle, bit of a pod.
Yeah, he is. My only downside to
He
Flex
did score.
is he did score, and his minutes were just atrocious.
He got 53, I think,
Yeah, but
53 minutes.
You could have the same logic that we had with Cotter about the game.
Yeah.
Could, but he got 44 points off base stats compared to Flegler here, who got 33. Like, you take away the try on the line break and the tackle bust that came with it, he's only getting...
All right, we could be yapping on this for a little. We could be yapping on this for a little while. So no, you're all right, mate. On to the last one, boys. Viliami Fafita. Look, obviously, very unfortunate circumstances. 230K.
Diabolical, really.
230K. He got 13 points. Break even of 22 this week, and he's in 22.4% of teams and has been named as 18th man this week.
He'll be back.
Yeah. All it takes is one injury, it
Yeah.
looks like. He's obviously been taken out of the squad for Luciano Leilua's return. Look, he isn't as urgent of a sell, in my opinion, as to the others. If he's like one of those players that you have this week, he could definitely be used for your loop He can sit in your fourth spot and be your loop. But look, it is very unfortunate with very dire. We haven't got many options in fantasy, and he was one of the better options.
Yeah.
In relevance to Fafita, I think this might be, since playing fantasy, a fair while ago, the worst cheapy cash cow year ever.
It probably
nothing.
could be. Yeah.
Like, there's a few good mid-rangers, don't get me wrong. But in terms of cash cows, there is dross.
Yeah, there's
The mid-rangers get HIAs as well. But anyway, okay, so that's a pretty good insight, boys, into the round 2 buy, hold, and sells for coaches. I guess lastly, I think we just want to thank you all for the support and make sure that you follow all our socials, should I say. Insta, Facebook, YouTube. We're on podcasters on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. We're basically on everything. Twitter, X.
Follow Falling Wolf 114 on Twitch.
Oh, yeah.
Let's bring that one back.
All right, boys. We'll see you next week for the round 3 buy, hold, and sells, eh?
Will do.
One more thing. Jacob Little could be a buy. Thank you.
And we'll leave on that bombshell. See you next week.